Okay, so I have successfully inserted data into my table. The next thing I'm going to do is to kind of read the data. Remember, we are looking at the CRUD, right? The CRUD, right? So we are looking at querying the data with select. How do we read our data? And that's the next part we're looking at. So how do we read your data? You can read your data with some of these basic syntax. Select from where. So where is actually adding conditions to it. But I can say select, and I can also say from, and also where. Here you can see the syntax that I'm basically selecting. Maybe you can signify the number of columns you want to select, or you can put star to say you want to select all of the columns. Then from what table do you want to select something from? And also where basically is you are adding a condition. You are adding a condition. For example, I'm selecting name, age from the employee table where age is greater than 30, for example, right? Now, let's look at how we can actually implement this in our query. We've inserted some information into this table right now. We can actually query it, right? Which means we can read this data. Remember how we can put our comments. So let's say reading our information, or let's say querying our data, right? So now we are querying our data with select. So I can come here and type select. Also, I always like to put it in capital, but it doesn't matter. You can put it anyhow you like. So select, what are we selecting? Remember I said you can either select star, that which means you are selecting all of the columns, right? And then from where, from which table? I want to select from viewers, right? So if I click on this guy right now, viewers right now, that means I want to see everything. If I run this query right now, run, that means I want to see everything. I can also go back and say I don't want to see anything. Probably I want to see just the full name and the age. So if I come here and I type full name, comma, age, right? Full name and then age. So if I run this query right now, or I press F5, you will see that it's going to return only the full name and the age. That's the difference between the select star and then select a particular column. But I'm going to return this back to star because I basically want to see all of our columns since we don't have much columns here, right? Now, you can also add a bit of conditions to this. Aside from showing the entire table, you can add a bit of conditions to say where something is something. I can say where age, for example, age is greater than, let's say 30. So you can say age is greater than 30, right? That is a condition. So I'm saying that I want to see all the table where age is greater than 30. And if you look at this, I basically have 5 columns, right? But it's returning 3 because these are the places where I have the condition where age is greater than 30. And you can see 34, 43, and also 31. That is you using a condition. A condition. Now, you may not also want to stop there. You can also add an additional condition. I can say and, that's also and, where maybe let's say the total view is greater than 200. Or let me say email, or let me just say, maybe I'm looking for a particular person. So let's say when email is equals to, remember, when you're putting a text, you have to put it in quote. Is equals to Adewale at gmail.com. So if I run this right now, I've added 2 conditions basically. The first condition is when the age is greater than 30 and the email address is Adewale, right? And you can see that it only returned Adewale, and Adewale has the age that is higher than 30. And that is what a condition is. So your condition can have different comparisons. So we're still going to talk more about comparison, right? But your conditions can have different logics and then different arguments. But you should just know that this is you querying and selecting different information you want to see from your data. So the next one we are going to look at from our CRUD is updating your database, which is actually update. So we have update. So updating data has to do with 2 different syntax, which is update and set. Update and set. Update is talking about updating a particular table, and set is saying that which column did you want to change? Which column did you want to update something on? So this is update to this table, set this column to this value, comma. I can also say set this column to this value. And I can also add a condition. Now, let's try that and let's see how that works. So if I go here, let's say, for example, I'm going to select this, just this, and run this. So if you look at this table here, for example, let's say, for example, Adewale age is not 34. And Adewale is watching me right now. And he was like, my age is not 34, I'm 35. Can you update and correct that from the database? Definitely we can do that, right? So the only thing we're going to do, so let me put another comment here and say updating the table, right? Updating table. So here, basically, I'm going to type two different syntax. Remember, two, update and set. So I want to update, what do you want to update? I want to update the table called viewer, right? And then after you put the table name of what you want to update, then I want to set. Set. Then what are you setting? I am setting the column of age. Remember that age to so. So I can say age to 34, right? Age to 34. I'm setting Adewale age to 34. Now, if I run this query right now without putting any condition, it is going to kind of put 34 for all of the ages, right? For all of the age. So let me run this and you see. So you can see 5 row affected. If I come back here and select my star here and execute, you will see all this age is now 34. It's now 34, and that's not good enough. That's not what I want. So let me go back and run this table again. Since I still have this, I will execute this table, and then I'm going to run this now. I should have my normal table back. Okay, so I have my table back, but I also have those duplicates, which is the one that has 34, 34, 34, 34, right? This is where delete comes into play, and I'm going to talk about delete very soon. I'm going to talk about delete very soon, because after you update your data, you can also delete your data set, right? So if I come here, I'm going to add another options right now and call it delete table, right? Delete table. So here, basically, to delete a table, you can either use delete and put the name of the tables here. So once you do that, it's going to delete all of the informations you have inside that table. You can see 10 row affected. If I run this right now, sorry, I click on new query instead. If I run this right now, you will see that there is nothing inside my table. Nothing, basically. So I can go back and run this one right now. So I have all the informations I need, execute. And then if I go and select all again now, you will see that I have my table the way I want it back. Now let's go back to update. So update, because I only want to update Adewale, I need to add a condition. And that is why it's very important to add where. Remember, the way we had where in select is the same thing here. The way we had where in select is the same thing. So we're just going to say where email is equals to adewale@gmail.com. Adewale@gmail.com, right? So where email is equals to adewale@gmail.com. So if I run this update right now, you can see it is only one row that is affected because Adewale only has one row. So when I run this right now, you will see that it has updated Adewale age to 34, right? I think I want to update it to 35 rather, not 34. So 35. Adewale said it's 35, right? So let me run this again. Let me run this again. Execute. So Adewale is 35. And if I go back and I select this query again, you will see that it has updated Adewale to 35. So you can update as many informations as you need from the table. You can update the total view, you can update the email, you can update the full name, and then you can update almost everything you need, right? Now, the next thing we are going to look at is delete. Basically, aside from updating a table, you can also delete. And there are different syntax that you use in delete. We have delete, we have truncate, and we also have drop, right? And you can also delete based on conditions as well. So you can see here we have delete from table name, and then we have conditions. Maybe you want to delete a particular rows in a table. So you delete based on conditions, right? Now, I've shown you an example of deleting an entire row in a table, which is when I kind of click on delete viewers and I delete everything, right? I can also add the conditions to this. I can say where, maybe I want to delete, who can I delete from this row? Maybe I want to delete Joe Brown from this row. So I can say where, what's the unique identifier? Email. So where email is equals to Joe at, let's say Joe at gmail.com, right? Joe at gmail.com. So if I run this query right now, execute, you can see that it is only one row that is affected. So if I go back and select star from the viewer table, you will see that Joe is no longer in this table because I delete Joe from this table. That is what delete means, right? You can do as many conditions as you want, right? We also have truncate. Truncate is similar to delete, right? So if I do truncate viewer, right? I just want to truncate the viewer table. But when you are using truncate, you have to add table to it, right? For it to work. Unlike delete, that you just click on delete and you put viewer. But truncate, it has to be truncate table. Then you put viewer, the name of the table. So when I come here and I click on execute, you can see that cannot find the object viewer. Okay, sorry, it's actually viewers. So I type viewer instead of viewers. So when I run this right now, you will see that command completed successfully. So if I go back to select star and click execute, you will see that my table is now empty because truncate also kind of deletes all the informations in my table. So let me go back and also add these informations into this table, right? And if I run this right now, I have my data back because I just throw my insert into, right? That's another way of also deleting data. Then we also have drop. Drop is a bit different from truncate table and delete. Truncate table and delete is deleting a particular row from your table. A particular row from your table, right? While drop is actually deleting the entire table. It's deleting the table. That means you are dropping the table. All right, so I can actually drop the table as well. So by doing drop table, just like the way I did truncate table, I can actually drop the viewer table. So if I click on viewers right now, so I am actually dropping this table. And when I click drop table, that means it's going to delete this table. So if I click on execute, we see command successful. So when I refresh here and I come back to table, you will see that there's no table called viewer again. So if I come here and even try to query viewer, I'm sure it's going to bring an error because you can see that there's no table like viewer again. So this means that I have dropped this table. There's also some other informations like alter the table where you can actually maybe create a new column, add the new rows and all that. But we're going to cover that in another video.